12 o'clock game's much better than 9 o'clock games, so we're looking forward to this. And certainly, you know, this conference is different on every given night. You see things that, anytime you have a large conference, you'll see things that you don't expect, and certainly you did not expect the Miami victory that way in the last 10 minutes of the game. But nonetheless, Duke presents a lot of problems for us that we have got to take care of in order to get a victory. And one is the fact that Okafor and their front court get as many offensive rebounds as we've seen this, and probably in the 5 major conferences, he's number 1 in offensive rebounding. I think he gets 16.7% of offensive rebounds. So we've got to do a good job. We did not do a good job in North Carolina keeping him off the glass, and we've got to do a good job in this game. And it's something that poses a big problem. Obviously, they've got one of the premier players in college basketball at the 5 spot. His statistics bear out that he's one of the top draft choices in this year's NBA draft, as well as being one of the best college players.
What's your message to Mango this week?
I didn't have a message to him.
You mentioned defensive rebounding. I know when you talk about contested shots, and you guys have numbers that you try to hit or come underneath. Is there a percentage that you like to get?
Well, sometimes defensive rebounding's a duty. You're trapping, and you get Chris Jones on a bigger guy. But in the North Carolina game, it was just a matter of not. We blocked out, but we didn't pursue the basketball, especially Montrez, and he's got to do a better job in that area. You know, Mango's our best offensive rebounder, percentage-wise. He ranks like 34th in the country of getting offensive rebounds. We don't have anybody in the, I think, the top 100 except Mango.
What about this matchup?
You know, we don't play the type of defense that concerns matchups because we change so much. We do so many different things defensively. It's not that type of game.
For them, the last 2 games, really, they're doing 87 and 90, and both teams have shot over 51% against them. Watching, where have they broken down as you watch them?
Well, you know, what Miami ran the whole second half was just high pick and rolls. They just spaced the court, ran pick and rolls, and they have they have a premier point guard who beat them off the bounce. And then when Miami tried to switch, whoever Okafor was guarding, he tried to take them off the bounce, and they got away with it for that given game. But when it comes down to it, both teams made 10 threes, 10 or 11 threes. North Carolina State as well as Miami. And to beat a great team, you got to make 9 or 10 threes.
10 for 20 for Miami and 10 for 16 for NC State.
Yeah, so that was a big factor in the game.
Rick, is it important for Terry and Chris to maybe look to attack those guards?
We're just going to stick with our normal game plan. We're not going to change what we do. We do run a lot of pick and rolls, so you know we're going to stick with what we do, and I know they're going to stick with what they do. 2 losses aren't going to change them.
Talk about Okafor. Talk about what Tyus is, the other freshman, what he's done for them, and kind of in the backcourt.
Well, you can pick your poison with them. You know, you could look at Winslow. You could look at all the guys they have having terrific years. But they shoot over 50% from the field. They're a great offensive rebounding team. They're outstanding on defense. And you know, people sometimes look to a bad game and say that they gave up points. But Duke's going to run with you, and the other teams like NC State and Miami will run up and down, and then certain teams won't run up and down. So it's sometimes style of play dictates how many points you give up.
Your league has one Hall of Fame coach who runs 2-3 zones, another who plays almost exclusively man, and you play multiple. Do you ever debate what's the right?
Our system is without questions the best. No, I think what you have to do with every team is you really have to see where your weaknesses lie, and then choreograph your defense accordingly. Like in 2005, we had no bench, and we were small, so we played strictly 2-3 zone, a bumping zone that Jim Boeheim plays. That was the last time we played that type of zone. So I think your personnel. Now, certain coaches like a Tony Bennett or Coach K or Jim Boeheim, they're going to stick with what they do. I think that Roy will change a little bit depending on his personnel. We change depending on our personnel defensively. We won't change a whole lot offensively. Roy's still running the same things he ran at Kansas.
Do you know how important guards are in backcourt is? Where are yours right now?
In terms of
Progress.
how they're playing?
Yeah.
You know, our two guys have had terrific years. You know, every backcourt has a bad game, but I think these guys have been as consistent at both ends of the floor as any backcourt in the nation. Because, you know, Chris Jones is not only playing great basketball right now, but so much goes unnoticed about his defense because he's a great defensive, on-ball defender. Terry is a great rebounding guard. You know, you don't find too many 6'1" guards that can rebound like that. And he does it in traffic, going over big people. So they're having an outstanding year. I never say they're 1, 2, or 3 best backcourts in the nation because that's a subjective thing. But I do think they're one of the premier backcourts.
Do you have to have that to go deep and march in for
You mean a great backcourt? Yeah, I think you have to have 3 guards though, because one's going to get in foul trouble in a given game, and you've got to get to a 3rd guard, and that's what we're in the hunt for right now. I think when you talk about a great backcourt, I think it's 3 guards.
How would you describe your relationship with Coach K, and is it strengthened by the kinds of games that you haven't played that many times, but
We've been good friends for a while. You know, he knows how much respect I have for him and in the Duke program, and we've been very good friends for many years. And I've always said that, you know, I always say that Coach K and Billy Donovan are the 2 poster childs for how to act as a coach. You know, one's a little older than the other, but in their tenure, they have the total package from coaching, teaching, recruiting, mentoring, developing assistant coaches into head coaches, how they treat their players, how they handle losses, and always giving credit to the other team. Both guys, I've seen, are in a class by themselves. So I've got unbelievable respect for him.
Talked last week about how difficult the North Carolina loss was. How does that compare to the Laettner loss?
Oh, it's nowhere near that loss. Remember, I had a player get stepped on his chest that game, and nothing happened. You did that today, you'd send him off to another country if you did that, the way social media is today. So, you know, he stepped on his chest during the game. And, you know, I had Montrezl Harrell ejected for throwing a phantom forearm with 3 guys surrounding him with their fists clenched. So it's be a lot different. That game meant the Final Four, and this game meant a conference game. It was disappointing because we played really well in that game, executed really well, but you have to give them credit. They
Were
won.
you over that game?
Yes,
How long did that take?
just 24 hours. You know, I watched the film of the game. It was a great college basketball game, great atmosphere. Really disappointed the way we defended the last play, but really, really happy with the way we passed the ball up the court to get not only an open look, but an open follow.
So, Rick, scoring is down across the country significantly. The last half full or empty, is that good defense or bad offense?
Last year went up for a small period of time. Okay. The Tony Bennett's of the world are ruining college basketball. Now, you know how much I respect him as a coach. I think he's absolutely brilliant, and so was his dad. I said that last week. Here's what we have done to the game. First and foremost, there's a lack of great shooters anymore. We don't concentrate enough on shooting and passing. Including myself, we get so tied into stopping the other team's offenses underneath out of bounds plays. 1-3-1 underneath, sideline out of bounds. We take away everything because of the technology today. It helps you immensely stop the other team's offenses. So where we have to get better, because the dimensions of the court have not expanded, where we have to get better, we have to take the same type of meticulous preparation at the offensive end, and how can we score against these great defenses? You know, I've watched Virginia a number of times. They don't give you an open shot. They don't give you an open shot. No matter what you run, they will not give you an open look. And then when you do get an open look, it's contested at the end. So that's where great shooting comes in. You know, you've got to, you look at why NC State and why Miami played so well, they made 10 threes. When you look at Ole Miss almost beating Kentucky, it was guys shooting NBA threes and making them. So there's a lack of shooting and good passing today. You know, I'm in search of great shooters right now for next year. And we work, you know, we were talking earlier about Wayne Blackshaw's shot. He's taken 800 of those shots a week. And we work so hard on shooting. But there are very few guys that I go see at the high school level that are great shooters. There are some. And certainly you have the young man Booker at Kentucky. He's a great shooter. He was in high school, he is now. And as many guys as you can get like that, regardless of what they do defensively, because you can teach them how to play defense, if you can get a collection of guys like that, you can beat anybody on any given night. So those are the two reasons I think the technology of making all the defenses so good.
So you're gonna do the change up and you're gonna stop doing all that and focus more on your offense?
We're trying to I don't think I'm one of the guys that should pay attention to offense. There's other guys that need to do. No, but the game, in all reality, you know, there's nothing better than watching a Virginia-type defense. Now, their offense is up this year tremendously, but you're seeing some games like Dick Vitale was telling me this morning. I think he did the Michigan State Duke game maybe, and it was 17-16, or I forgot what game he mentioned. Was it that game? Yeah, so when you see that score at halftime, and you see like the NBA, I was on the committee to try and get more scoring into the NBA, and the only thing that stopped it, when I was with the Knicks, we averaged 116.8 points per game, and there was only one team in the league not scoring 100. By the time I went back to the pros, it was only one team breaking 100, and they thought of calling more fouls was the answer, and they were right. So it went on for a period of time, scoring was up, and they called more fouls. They probably don't call as many anymore, and it is what it is.
Are you in favor of changing the shot clock?
The fact that we don't play with it, but by the way, it would only help Virginia. Tony thinks it would hurt him, but it would only help Virginia to go to 30 seconds because their defense would be that much better in a 30-second span. But the fact that we're not at a 30-second clock, there's two things, the fact that we haven't changed. One is, in the backcourt, you don't give a new 10 seconds when a guy calls timeout. That's absurd. And the other thing that's absurd is 35 seconds. I mean, the women have been playing with 30 seconds for quite some time. I think we can adjust to it.
You know, last year at the beginning of the year, there was that, you know, they tried to get back to the freedom of movement and calling everything.
Yep.
Have they gone away from that again? Have the officials maybe gone back to, you know, letting?
You know what happens? The fans keep booing, and every time they make a call and they say, oh, there's too many fouls called, and you all right, there's too many foul calls. So they have no chance at blowing it because of all of you. You're very powerful people.
You mentioned how important shooting and passing is. How would you rate your team, this year's team, at this point?
Very average.
Very average.
Very average.
What do they have to do I mean, is it a matter of practice or?
Be reincarnated. To become great shooters. Because nobody works at it more than we do in terms of volume of shots. But I think we have good scorers, but we don't have the knockdown. Now, Chris Jones is probably our best open shooter, and it's tough getting him to take open shots. He likes people on him. You know, that's the number one thing we're looking for in recruiting. You know, we want to. I went to a Final Four with a very average size team in 2005, but they could shoot. They could shoot. Larry O'Bannon, Francisco Garcia, and Taekwon Dean could shoot the basketball.
Anything else for Coach?
How do you look at a game like this? I mean, there's a ton of buzz around town, even nationally, at this game. Do you try to approach it any different, or do you feel the buzz?
I think it'll be the best crowd in the history of it. I thought Ohio State would be. It was, contrary to some of your opinions. But there won't be 4,000 Duke Blue Devil shirts in the arena. Surrounding the court, taking pictures of their play-ups during warm-ups. There won't be that. There'll be about 100, and that's more than enough. So it'll be the best crowd in the short tenure of the Yum Center. It'll be exciting because you have the premier coach in college basketball coming in. You have one of the premier programs in college basketball. We're new to the ACC. We're always going to see Duke. So it's a great late morning game, and I'm excited about it to get Duke in here and see what we can do against their size as well as their quickness.
Is there a part of you that wanted this to be number 1,000 or a chance at 1,000? Just
No, I was very happy. I said that Mike had to lose, but very happy that I wouldn't be part of a trivia question.
The guys love uniforms. Have you seen the throwback?
I have.
Uniforms? Did you like?
Yeah,
them?
I like them a lot. I think it's great that we're honoring that team, and the uniforms look terrific. The players love it. The Duncan Cardinals, big time. Everything about it. It really is going to be a special day because it's new to all of us. North Carolina, Duke, and the teams of the ACC, and we're used to Syracuse, Pittsburgh, Notre Dame, and this year you have about 6-7 teams that could win a national championship in the ACC. Maybe not that many, but 5 teams that could win a national championship. I was thinking of Maryland for a second and then realized they're not in the ACC anymore. But there are a lot of teams that could win a national championship from the ACC, and a lot of other teams that could pull major upsets in the tournament.